My name is Michael, and up until a few weeks ago, I would have told you I was just a regular guy. I had a good job, a nice house, and a wife who, for years, I believed was my soulmate. We had passion once, the kind that consumed us, made us forget the world outside our bedroom. But that fire cooled. Life crept in with its routines and responsibilities, and somewhere along the way, the woman I loved began slipping away. I noticed it first in the small things. She started working late more often, claiming it was just the nature of the job. The warmth of her touch became a rare occurrence, and our conversations turned into brief exchanges about mundane things: bills, groceries, schedules. She was there, but not really. The bed we once couldn't get enough of now felt like a cold, empty space. It wasn't just the physical distance that gnawed at me, though. There was something else, something I couldn't quite put my finger on, a nagging feeling that kept me up at night, staring at the ceiling while she lay beside me, seemingly asleep but miles away in her mind. I tried to ignore it at first, telling myself that every marriage goes through rough patches. But the doubt grew, feeding off every unanswered question, every missed call, every lingering glance at her phone. I found myself growing paranoid, watching her more closely, analyzing every word, every gesture. I hated who I was becoming, a man consumed by suspicion and jealousy. I would catch her smiling at texts she quickly hid, or taking calls in the other room, her voice hushed and secretive. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that it was just my mind playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew the truth was much darker than I wanted to admit. One night, unable to sleep, I picked up her phone while she was in the shower. My hands shook as I scrolled through her messages. And there it was, the proof I had been dreading yet couldn't help but seek. Explicit texts, photos, plans to meet. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of rage, betrayal, and a sickening sense of inevitability washing over me. My wife, the woman I had shared my life with for over a decade, was having an affair. I dropped the phone, feeling a wave of nausea. My mind raced, thoughts colliding in a storm of fury and pain. I wanted to confront her, to scream, to demand answers. But instead I stood there, frozen, the reality of my shattered marriage sinking in. Everything I had known, everything I had trusted, was gone in an instant. My world collapsed around me, and I was left standing in the wreckage, unsure of what to do next. My heart pounds as I watch them from the shadows. It's a Friday night, and they've chosen the same dimly lit bar on the outskirts of town, far from prying eyes. I'd followed her here once before, but tonight is different. Tonight, I have confirmation. As I crouch in the alley, peering through the narrow window, I see them together. His hand rests possessively on her thigh, their bodies close, the air between them charged with a sickening intimacy. My stomach churns, a mix of rage and despair. I should burst in there, drag her out, demand answers. But I don't. I stay rooted to the spot, my fists clenched so tightly my knuckles ache. I need to see this through, to understand the full extent of her betrayal before I act. My mind races, replaying every moment of the past few months, every sign I ignored, every excuse she gave. And here it is, the undeniable truth unfolding before me in a seedy bar. She leans in, whispers something in his ear that makes him smile, a smug, self-satisfied grin that makes my blood boil. He doesn't know I'm here watching, but I imagine he'd be just as cocky if he did. I've seen his type before. Arrogant, entitled, thinking they can take whatever they want without consequence. My teeth grind together, the taste of bitterness filling my mouth. Finally, they get up to leave. I retreat further into the shadows, my breath coming in short, shallow gasps as they walk out, laughing, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. I follow them at a distance, careful to stay out of sight. They stop at his car, and I watch as he presses her against the door, their lips meeting in a heated kiss. My vision blurs, red-hot anger searing through me. This is the woman I married, the woman I loved, and she's giving herself to another man like I never mattered. I can't take it anymore. I turn away, retreating to my car, my mind a whirlwind of thoughts. Confronting them now, in this state, would be a mistake. I'd lose control, and that would only make things worse. No, I need to think, to plan. This can't be an impulsive act of rage. It has to be calculated, precise. I drive aimlessly for hours, the city lights blurring as I pass, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly it feels like I might snap it in half. My thoughts circle around one thing: revenge. But it's not enough just to hurt him. I want to destroy him, to take from him what he's taken from me. But how? How do I make him suffer the way I'm suffering? The answer comes to me in the early hours of the morning, as I sit in my darkened living room, staring at the framed photos of our life together. I can't just go after him. I need to take everything from him, the way he's taken everything from me. But I need to be smart about it. If I'm going to do this, I can't leave anything to chance. I start by gathering information. I learn his name, Ryan, and where he works, where he lives. I watch him, follow him, make notes on his routines, his habits. I become obsessed, my entire existence narrowing down to this one man. Each day I discover something new about him, and with each discovery, my hatred grows. He's successful, well-liked, charming even. But there's something else, something darker that I can't quite put my finger on. As I dig deeper, I begin to uncover things that don't add up. Large sums of money deposited into his account, late-night meetings with shady characters. It's clear he's involved in something illegal, something that could ruin him if it ever came to light. My plan starts to take shape. I'll destroy his life, his reputation, everything he holds dear. But first, I need more information. I continue to follow him, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Then one night, I see him slip into a building I've never noticed before, a rundown warehouse on the outskirts of town. My instincts scream at me to leave, that this is dangerous, but I ignore them. I have to know what he's up to. I wait until he's inside, then follow. The interior is dark, the air thick with the smell of dust and decay. I move silently, sticking to the shadows, my heart racing in my chest. I hear voices, low, tense, and move closer, careful not to make a sound. When I finally get close enough to see what's happening, I freeze. Ryan is in a heated conversation with two men, their faces obscured by the dim light. From their tone, it's clear they're not friends. I strain to hear, catching snippets of their exchange. Money, shipments, deadlines. It's clear this isn't just some petty crime. This is something much bigger, much more dangerous. My mind reels as I try to process what I'm hearing. Ryan isn't just some random guy who happened to catch my wife's eye. He's involved in something serious, something that could get us both killed if I'm not careful. But instead of backing off, instead of running, I feel a sick sense of excitement. This is my chance, the leverage I need to bring him down. I pull out my phone, careful to keep it hidden, and start recording. Every word, every threat, every incriminating detail. By the time they finish, I have more than enough to ruin him. But I don't stop there. I wait until they leave, then start digging through the warehouse, looking for anything that could tie him to these men. I find stacks of cash, boxes of what I assume are drugs, weapons, everything I need to destroy his life. As I leave the warehouse, a plan begins to form in my mind. I'll use this against him, blackmail him, make him suffer for what he's done to me. But as I think it through, I realize it's not just about him anymore. My wife is involved in this too, whether she knows it or not. She's been lying to me for months, sneaking around behind my back, and now she's caught up in something that could ruin us both. I drive home, the recording safe on my phone, my mind racing. This is no longer just about revenge, it's about survival. I need to be careful, to plan every move, because one wrong step could cost me everything. But there's no turning back now. I'm in this too deep, and the only way out is through. As I lay in bed that night, my wife sleeping soundly beside me, I feel a cold resolve settle over me. I'll get my revenge, but I'll also protect myself. Whatever it takes, no matter the cost, I'll come out on top. Ryan doesn't know it yet, but he's already lost. He's a dead man walking, and by the time I'm done with him, he'll wish he'd never laid eyes on my wife. The days after my discovery blur into a haze of anger and obsession. I can't stop thinking about Ryan and his smug grin, his hand on my wife's thigh. I replay the scene over and over in my mind, each time the fury building, until it feels like it's going to consume me. I can't sleep, can't focus on anything else. I've lost her, and the only thing that keeps me going is the thought of taking him down. I follow him everywhere. It starts with his routine, where he goes, who he meets, what he does when he's not with her. I'm becoming a shadow, always a few steps behind, careful not to be seen. Each new piece of information is another brick in the wall of hatred I'm building around him. I learn where he works, a flashy office in the financial district. I watch him there too, noting how he interacts with his colleagues, how he commands attention with that same cocky confidence. But the more I watch, the more I realize there's something else going on. Ryan's not just a regular guy. There are meetings in back alleys, exchanges that seem too secretive for someone in his line of work. I start digging deeper, tracing his connections. It's not long before I find out that Ryan's involved in something big, something illegal. It's drugs, weapons, and money, and it's clear he's not just a small-time player. He's deep in the game, and that's when I realize how dangerous this is. But instead of backing off, I dig in. If anything, this makes my revenge even sweeter. I'm not just going to ruin his personal life. I'm going to destroy him completely. I start taking risks, getting closer, watching his every move. I feel a twisted thrill each time I uncover something new, a fresh piece of evidence that I can use against him. It's intoxicating, this power I'm starting to feel. For the first time since I found out about the affair, I feel like I'm in control again. My wife, on the other hand, is starting to notice the change in me. She's more distant than ever, and when we're together, there's a tension in the air that neither of us acknowledges. I see the way she looks at me, like she's scared, like she's wondering if I know. I play it cool, but inside I'm seething. Every time she lies to me, every time she sneaks off to be with him, it only fuels my resolve. One night she confronts me. We're sitting in the living room, the TV on, but neither of us watching. She turns to me, her eyes searching mine, and asks, "Michael, is everything okay? You've been acting different." I look at her, forcing myself to stay calm, to keep the venom out of my voice. "I'm fine. Just a lot going on at work." She doesn't look convinced, but she doesn't push it. I can see the doubt in her eyes, the guilt gnawing at her, but she's too deep in her lies to admit anything now. Part of me wants to scream at her, to force her to tell me the truth, but I know it's not the right time. Not yet. The breaking point comes a few days later. I'm following Ryan as usual, but this time he catches me. I'm sloppy, too focused on my own thoughts, and he spots me in his rearview mirror. He pulls over, gets out of his car, and walks straight towards me. My heart races, but I don't move. I can't show weakness now. "What the hell are you doing?" he demands, his voice low and threatening. I stare at him, my mind scrambling for an excuse, but nothing comes. The tension crackles between us, and for a moment, I think he's going to hit me. But then he steps back, his expression shifting to something more calculated. "You've been following me," he says, more of a statement than a question. I finally find my voice. "I don't know what you're talking about." He laughs, a cold, humorless sound. "Don't play games with me. I know who you are, Michael, and I know why you're doing this." The words hit me like a punch to the gut, but I don't let it show. I can't let him see that he's gotten to me. "Then you know you should stay away from my wife." He smirks, that same infuriating grin that makes me want to smash his face in. "Or what? You think you can scare me off?" I step closer, lowering my voice to a growl. "I don't need to scare you, Ryan. I'm going to destroy you." He doesn't flinch. Instead, he looks almost amused. "You don't know what you're getting into. You think this is about your wife? You're way out of your depth, pal. And with that, he turns and walks away, leaving me standing there, trembling with rage. He's right, of course. I am out of my depth. But I don't care. I'm in too deep to stop now. He knows I'm coming for him, and I have no choice but to see this through. I double down on my efforts, gathering every scrap of evidence I can find. I'm relentless, driven by the need to take him down before he can do the same to me. But it's not easy. He's careful, covering his tracks, and every time I think I've got him, he slips away. The stress is getting to me, and it's affecting everything. My work, my marriage, my sanity. I'm on edge all the time, snapping at my wife, losing sleep, and making mistakes. The final blow comes when Ryan makes his move. I'm in my car, watching his office, when I get a text from an unknown number. It's a video, grainy, shaky, but clear enough. It's of me, breaking into the warehouse, snooping around where I shouldn't be. My blood runs cold as I realize what this means. He's been watching me too, and now he has the upper hand. I barely have time to process this when I hear a knock on my window. I jump, turning to see Ryan standing there, that same damn smirk on his face. I roll down the window, my heart pounding in my chest. "Nice try, Michael," he says, holding up his phone to show the video playing again. "But you're not the only one who can play this game." I'm trapped. He's got me, and we both know it. But I refuse to back down. "What do you want?" He leans in, his expression hardening. "I want you to disappear. You're a liability now, and I don't have time for liabilities." My mind races, searching for a way out. But there's nothing. He's won. But as he walks away, I make a decision. If I'm going down, I'm taking him with me. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to find a way to turn this around. I have to. Because if I don't, I'm as good as dead. I wait in the shadows, my breath shallow, my pulse pounding in my ears. The alley behind the bar is dark, the perfect cover for what I'm about to do. I've been here for hours, going over the plan in my head, every detail sharp and clear. I'm wearing a mask, a black ski mask I bought at a discount store 3 towns over. It's hot and itchy, but it's necessary. No mistakes tonight. Ryan is inside, laughing, drinking, acting like he owns the world. He doesn't know what's coming. He has no idea that tonight is the night everything changes. I clutch the bat in my hands, feeling the weight of it, the power. It's an old aluminum bat, dented and scratched from years of use, but still solid. I've wrapped the handle in tape to keep my grip steady. I hear the door creak open, and my body tenses. Ryan steps out, alone, his phone in one hand, a cigarette in the other. He's too absorbed in whatever is on his screen to notice me at first. I step forward, my heart racing, adrenaline surging through me. When I'm close enough, I raise the bat and swing it into the side of his knee with all my strength. The sound is sickening, a crunch that echoes through the alley. Ryan crumples to the ground, his phone clattering to the pavement. He lets out a howl of pain, clutching his knee, but I don't stop. I bring the bat down again, this time aiming for his ribs. He tries to roll away, but he's too slow. The bat connects with a dull thud, and I feel a rush of satisfaction as he gasps for air. I kneel beside him, my breath coming in ragged gasps. His eyes are wide with fear, and I can see the realization dawning on him. He knows who I am, even with the mask. He tries to speak, but all that comes out is a choked, pitiful sound. "You thought you could take everything from me?" I hiss, my voice low and menacing. "You thought I'd just let you get away with it?" He tries to crawl away, but I grab him by the collar and drag him back. The bat is heavy in my hand, but I lift it again, this time aiming for his face. I want him to hurt, to feel every ounce of pain he's caused me. I want to destroy him. But as I bring the bat down, something inside me shifts. The satisfaction I felt moments ago is replaced by a sickening nausea. This isn't me. This isn't who I am. But it's too late to stop now. I've already gone too far. The bat connects with his jaw, and I hear the sickening crack of bone. Ryan's head snaps to the side, blood spraying from his mouth. He slumps to the ground unconscious, maybe worse. I drop the bat, my hands trembling, my chest heaving with ragged breaths. I should feel victorious, but all I feel is hollow. I step back, staring down at what I've done. Ryan's body lies motionless, a pool of blood spreading beneath him. I can't move, can't think. My mind is a whirlwind of shock and horror. What have I become? I force myself to walk away, my legs unsteady. Every step feels like I'm wading through quicksand. I yank the mask off as I reach the end of the alley, gasping for air, but it doesn't help. I still feel like I'm suffocating. I stumble into my car and slam the door shut, trying to steady my breathing. My hands are still shaking, stained with blood, and I can't get the image of Ryan's broken body out of my mind. I keep replaying it over and over, the sound of the bat, the sight of his blood, the emptiness I felt afterward. As I drive away, I realize this isn't over, not by a long shot. Ryan's not dead. At least I don't think he is. But he's not going to just walk away from this. He has connections, dangerous ones, and they'll come after me. I've crossed a line I can't uncross, and now I'm in deeper than I ever intended to be. I get home and barely make it to the bathroom before I'm on my knees retching. My body is racked with violent tremors, and I can't stop the flood of tears that follow. I feel like I'm falling apart. Like everything I've done has finally caught up to me. I sit on the bathroom floor, my back against the cold tiles, and try to pull myself together. But the reality of what I've done keeps crashing down on me, wave after wave. I can't undo it, can't take it back. I've unleashed something dark and violent inside me, and I don't know if I can ever put it back. The rest of the night is a blur. I clean myself up, scrub the blood from my hands, but I can't wash away the guilt. It's there, festering, growing stronger with every passing minute. I can't sleep, can't eat. I just sit in the dark, staring at nothing, lost in the horror of what I've done. The next day I hear the news. Ryan's in the hospital in critical condition. The police are investigating, but they don't have any leads yet. I should feel relieved that he's still alive, but I don't. All I feel is dread. It's only a matter of time before they figure out it was me. And then there's the call. It's not from the police. It's from one of Ryan's associates. The voice on the other end is cold, calculating. They know what I've done, and they're not going to let it go. They don't care about Ryan. They care about the message this sends. They want revenge, and they're coming for me. I'm not safe anymore. My life, my wife, everything I've built is at risk. I should run, disappear before they can find me. But I can't leave her. Even after everything, I can't abandon her. She doesn't know what I've done, doesn't know the danger we're in. I have to protect her, even if it means facing them head on. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. I'm not going to survive this. I've pushed too far, and now there's no way out. But if I'm going down, I'm taking them with me. I won't let them destroy everything I've fought for. I'll fight to the bitter end, and I'll make sure they know who they're dealing with. I load the gun I've been hiding, every motion deliberate, my mind clear and focused. This is it, the end game. I've crossed the line, and now there's no going back. It's either them or me, and I'll be damned if I go down without a fight. I'm on the run, and every breath feels like it could be my last. I've been driving for hours aimlessly, my mind spinning with thoughts of what's to come. There's no going back now. I've crossed the line, and the consequences are crashing down around me. The phone call from Ryan's associate was the final nail in the coffin. They know who I am, and they're coming for me. I can't stay in one place for long, not if I want to stay ahead of them. The fear is constant, a gnawing presence in the back of my mind, but it's mixed with a strange clarity. I've never been more focused, more determined. If I'm going to survive this, I need to be smart. I need to think like them. Every moment is critical. Every decision could mean the difference between life and death. I stop at a small rundown motel on the outskirts of a town no one cares about, the kind of place where people come to disappear. I pay cash using one of the fake IDs I've kept stashed for emergencies. The room is filthy, the bed lumpy and covered in stains, but it's all I can afford to care about. I barricade the door with the rickety chair and sit on the edge of the bed, the gun heavy in my hand. I can't sleep, can't relax. And every creak of the building, every distant car engine sets my nerves on edge. I think about my wife. She's still at home, oblivious to the storm that's about to hit her. Part of me wants to warn her, to tell her to get out, to leave before it's too late. But another part, the darker part, knows she made her bed when she chose Ryan over me. I hate that I still care, that some twisted part of me still wants to protect her, even after everything she's done. But I can't go back. I've set this in motion, and I have to see it through. I spend the next few days gathering everything I need. I tap into the contacts I've cultivated over the years, the ones who live in the shadows, just like me now. I trade favors, call in debts, and slowly a plan starts to form. It's risky, borderline suicidal, but it's the only shot I've got. I'm going to turn the tables on them, use their own tactics against them. I spend hours poring over maps, plotting out routes, escape plans. I've learned everything I can about Ryan's associates, their operations, their weaknesses. I know where they'll come from, how they'll try to trap me. I've been underestimated before, and that's going to be their downfall. I'm ready to fight back, to strike first before they can corner me. Finally, the time comes. I set the trap, making sure every piece is in place. I lure them to an abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city, the perfect place for a final showdown. The building is a decaying relic, half collapsed and filled with debris. It's a labyrinth of rusted metal and rotting wood, with plenty of places to hide, to set up ambushes. I position myself in the rafters, overlooking the main floor, my gun trained on the entrance. My heart pounds in my chest, but my mind is clear. This is it, the moment I've been preparing for. I hear the rumble of engines outside, and my grip tightens on the gun. They're here. The door bursts open and they pour in, 5 of them, all armed, all dangerous. They move with military precision, sweeping the area, checking every corner. But they don't see me, not yet. I wait, holding my breath, counting their steps. When they're in the middle of the room, I strike. I take out the first 2 with precise shots, dropping them before they even realize what's happening. The others scatter, shouting orders, firing blindly into the darkness. I stay low, moving silently through the rafters, keeping them off balance. One by one, I pick them off, using the shadows, the echoing chaos, to my advantage. It's over in minutes, but it feels like a lifetime. The last man standing is Ryan's right-hand guy, the one who made the call, who threatened my life. He's wounded, bleeding from a shot to the leg, but he's still dangerous. I drop down from the rafters, landing in front of him, my gun aimed at his head. He looks at me with a mixture of fear and hatred, but there's something else in his eyes too. Respect. "You're not what I expected," he says, his voice rough with pain. "I'm not who I used to be," in my reply, and it's the truth. This journey has changed me, twisted me into something darker, something I never thought I could become. But it's too late to turn back now. I pull the trigger, and he drops, lifeless, to the floor. The silence that follows is deafening. I stand there, surrounded by the bodies of the men who came to kill me, and for the first time in days, I feel a sense of peace. It's over. I've survived. But as the adrenaline fades, the reality of what I've done hits me. There's no going back from this. The police will be after me, and there will be others who want revenge. I can't stay here. Can't go back to my old life. It's all gone now, destroyed by my own hand. I think of my wife again. She'll find out soon enough. Maybe she already knows. There's a part of me that wonders if she'll mourn me, if she'll feel any guilt for what's happened. But I can't dwell on that. I have to keep moving, have to disappear before the authorities close in. I leave the warehouse, the echoes of gunfire still ringing in my ears. I don't look back. There's nothing left for me here. I've become a ghost, a shadow, and that's how it has to stay if I want to survive. I drive until the sun rises, the road stretching out before me like an endless tunnel. I have no destination, no plan beyond staying alive. But as I merge onto the highway, the horizon ahead bathed in the pink light of dawn, I feel a strange sense of freedom. I've lost everything, my wife, my home, my identity. But I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And for now, that's enough. There's no future, no clear path ahead, just the road, the endless road, and the hope that somewhere along the way, I'll find a way to live with what I've done, to find some semblance of peace in the ruins of the life I once had. The air is thick with tension as I sit in the dark, my gun resting on the table in front of me. I'm in a safe house, one of those off-the-books places where people like me go when there's nowhere else to turn. The room is small, the walls bare, the only light coming from a single flickering bulb overhead. I've been here for hours, waiting, planning. This is it, the final confrontation. I know they're coming, and this time, I'm not running. This ends tonight. I go over my plan again, making sure every detail is clear in my mind. I've set up the building to be a trap, every corner covered, every exit monitored. They think they can just walk in here and take me out, but they're wrong. I've learned from my mistakes, learned to think like them. The man I was before is gone. This is who I am now. The door creaks open, and my heart skips a beat. It's her, my wife. She stands in the doorway, her eyes wide, her breath coming in short, sharp gasps. She's scared, and I can't blame her. She knows what's about to happen, what I've become. But there's no turning back now. You shouldn't be here, I say, my voice low, trying to keep the edge of panic out of it. I don't want her caught in the crossfire. Don't want her to see what I'm about to do. I had to come, she says, stepping into the room, her gaze fixed on me. Michael, please. You don't have to do this. We can still fix this. Her words cut deep, deeper than I expected. A part of me wants to believe her, wants to grab her and run, leave all of this behind. But I know it's too late. The choices I've made have led us here, and there's no escaping it now. They're coming, I tell her, my tone cold, final. And I'm going to end this. She flinches, tears welling in her eyes. Michael, you don't have to do this alone. We can get out of here, start over, somewhere far away. Please, just leave with me. I shake my head, the weight of everything I've done pressing down on me like a ton of bricks. It's not that simple. I've crossed lines I can't uncross. They won't stop until one of us is dead. Her tears fall, and she steps closer, reaching out to me. I'm sorry, she whispers, her voice breaking. I never meant for any of this to happen. I still love you, Michael. I need you to know that. Her touch is warm, and for a brief moment I close my eyes, letting myself feel it. Letting myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we could still have a future together. But then I hear it, the sound of cars pulling up outside, the crunch of gravel under heavy boots. They're here. I pull away from her, grabbing the gun, my focus sharpening. Get out of here, I say, my voice hard. Now! She hesitates, her eyes pleading with me to stop, to come with her. But I don't have time for this. I shove her toward the back door, my voice rising in desperation. Go! I'll hold them off. Just go. She stumbles back, her face pale, her eyes wide with fear. But she listens. She runs, the door slamming shut behind her, and I'm alone again. Alone to face the monsters I've unleashed. I move to the front of the room, positioning myself behind an overturned table, my gun trained on the door. The seconds stretch out, each one feeling like an eternity. And then the door bursts open and they flood in, armed, dangerous, ready to kill. I fire the first shot, dropping the man in front. The others scatter, returning fire. Bullets tearing through the walls, the furniture, anything in their path. The noise is deafening, the flashes of gunfire lighting up the room in harsh bursts. I keep moving, keep firing, refusing to let them pin me down. I take out two more, but there are still more coming. They're everywhere, surrounding me, pushing me back. I'm running out of ammo, running out of time. My heart pounds in my chest, the adrenaline surging through me, keeping me going even as the odds stack up against me. I retreat to the back room, the last line of defense. I can hear them closing in, their footsteps echoing through the building. I take a deep breath, steadying my hands, my resolve hardening. This is it. This is where I make my stand. They burst through the door, and I unload the last of my bullets, dropping the first two through the doorway. But there are too many and I'm out of ammo. One of them rushes me, and I swing the empty gun, catching him across the face. He goes down, but another takes his place, tackling me to the ground. We grapple, his hands around my throat, squeezing the life out of me. I struggle, gasping for air, my vision blurring. I reach out, my hand finding a shard of glass on the floor, and I drive it into his side. He screams, releasing his grip, and I push him off, scrambling to my feet. But it's too late. The others are on me, pinning me down, their fists slamming into me over and over. Pain explodes in my body, but I keep fighting, refusing to give up, even as the darkness closes in. And then it stops. The room goes quiet, the only sound my ragged breathing. I blink, trying to focus, trying to understand what's happening. The men holding me down are gone, and I'm lying on the floor, blood pooling around me. I try to move, but my body won't respond. Everything hurts, every breath a struggle. I hear footsteps, slow and deliberate, and a figure looms over me. It's Ryan. He's alive, barely, his face a mess of bruises and cuts, but he's standing. "Looks like you lost," he says, his voice hoarse, mocking. I glare up at him, my teeth clenched, but I can't do anything. I'm helpless, beaten. He kneels down, his hand wrapping around my throat, squeezing just enough to make me gasp for air. "You thought you could take me out, didn't you?" he whispers, his breath hot on my face. "You thought you could win." I try to speak, but nothing comes out. My vision is fading, the edges darkening. I feel the weight of everything pressing down on me. My failures, my mistakes, my regrets. This is how it ends. After everything, this is how it ends. But then there's a gunshot. Ryan's eyes widen in shock, his grip loosening. He collapses beside me, blood pouring from a hole in his chest. I turn my head, my vision swimming, and I see her, my wife, standing in the doorway, a gun in her trembling hands. She runs to me, dropping the gun, her hands frantically pressing against my wounds, trying to stop the bleeding. "Michael, stay with me," she pleads, her voice shaking. "Please stay with me." I try to speak, to tell her that it's too late, but the words won't come. The darkness is closing in, and I can't fight it anymore. But as I drift away, I feel her hands on me, her voice in my ears. And for a brief moment, I feel something I thought I'd lost. Hope. Maybe it's not over. Maybe there's still a chance, a way out. I don't know. But as the world fades to black, I hold on to that thought, that sliver of hope. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. I wake up in a hospital bed, the sterile smell of antiseptic assaulting my senses. My body feels heavy, every movement a struggle. Pain radiates from my chest, my head throbs, and my mouth is dry. The room is dimly lit, and I can hear the steady beeping of the machines around me. I'm alive. Somehow, against all odds, I've survived. I turn my head slightly and see her, my wife, sitting in a chair beside the bed, her face pale and drawn. Her eyes are red-rimmed, as if she's been crying for hours. She notices I'm awake and leans forward, reaching for my hand. Her touch is gentle, almost hesitant. "Michael," she whispers, her voice trembling. "Thank God you're okay." I can't muster the strength to respond. My mind is a fog of memories, fragments of the final showdown, the gunshots, the blood, and the overwhelming sense of finality. I should be dead. I was ready to die. But here I am, tethered to life by a thin thread. "Why?" I finally managed to croak, my voice barely audible. "Why are you here?" She squeezes my hand, her eyes filling with tears again. "I couldn't leave you. Not like that. After everything. I still love you, Michael. I know we've been through hell, and I know I made mistakes, but I couldn't let you go." Her words wash over me, stirring emotions I thought I'd buried. Anger, betrayal, love, and something else. A faint glimmer of hope. But it's fragile, like a delicate glass ornament that could shatter with the slightest touch. I killed him, I say, my voice hollow. I killed them all. She doesn't flinch. You did what you had to do, to survive. I close my eyes, trying to make sense of everything. The weight of my actions presses down on me like a crushing burden. I've lost everything, my career, my peace of mind, my soul, but I'm still here, still breathing. Maybe that's enough. Maybe that's all I deserve. The police are waiting to talk to you, she says quietly, her fingers tracing circles on the back of my hand. They've been asking questions, but I've kept them away until you were awake. You need to be careful about what you say. Of course, the police. I knew this was coming, but the reality of it is like a punch to the gut. I'm not just a victim here. I'm a murderer, a man who crossed lines that can never be uncrossed. They'll want answers, explanations, justifications for the trail of bodies I've left behind. What do I tell them? I ask, my voice strained. Tell them the truth, she says, surprising me. But only the parts that matter. The rest, we'll deal with that later. I nod weakly, too exhausted to argue. She's right. I need to focus on surviving this, on getting through the next few hours, the next few days. Everything else can wait. The door opens and a man in a suit steps inside. He's tall, with a stern expression and eyes that miss nothing. A detective, I assume. He glances at my wife, then back at me, his gaze sharp and assessing. Mr. Walker, he says, his tone neutral. I'm Detective Harris. I need to ask you a few questions about what happened. I swallow, forcing myself to sit up a little, though every movement sends a jolt of pain through my body. I'll tell you what I can. He pulls up a chair sitting across from me. His presence is imposing, but I meet his gaze, refusing to be intimidated. I've been through too much to back down now. Let's start with the basics, he says, flipping open a notebook. How did you end up in that warehouse? I tell him the truth, at least the version that won't land me in a cell. I explain how I was being pursued, how I was forced to defend myself. I describe the violence, the fear, the desperation that drove me to do what I did. I don't mention the betrayal, the affair, or the personal vendetta that fueled my actions. Those are secrets I'll take to my grave. Detective Harris listens, his expression unreadable, jotting down notes as I speak. When I finish, he leans back in his chair, studying me with those keen, calculating eyes. You've been through a lot, Mr. Walker, he says finally, and it's clear that you were in a difficult situation. But the fact remains, you killed several people. This isn't going to go away. I know, I reply, my voice steady. I'm ready to face whatever comes next. He nods almost approvingly. We'll need to conduct a full investigation, but based on what you've told me and the evidence we've gathered, it seems like you acted in self-defense. However, there are still a lot of unanswered questions, and this is far from over. I understand what he's saying, even if he doesn't spell it out. My life is never going back to what it was. There will be trials, both legal and personal. The consequences of my actions will follow me for the rest of my days. But for now, I'm alive, and that's more than I expected. As Detective Harris leaves, my wife leans in close, her hand still holding mine. We'll get through this, she says, her voice filled with a quiet determination. Together. I want to believe her, but I know that things will never be the same. We've both been scarred by this ordeal, changed in ways that can't be undone. But maybe, just maybe, there's a way forward, a new beginning, even if it's not the one we imagine. Days pass, and I slowly begin to heal. The hospital becomes a place of reflection, of coming to terms with what I've done and what lies ahead. My wife visits every day, and slowly we start to talk, not just about the past, but about the future. It's a tentative hope, fragile and uncertain, but it's there. As I'm discharged from the hospital, I step into the sunlight, feeling the warmth on my face. The world outside is the same, but I'm not. I'm haunted by the past, by the choices I made, but I'm still here. And as long as I'm alive, there's a chance to rebuild, to find a new path, even if it's one lined with shadows. My wife stands beside me, her hand slipping into mine. We don't say anything, but we don't need to. We've both been through the fire, and we've come out the other side. Scarred, yes, but still standing. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough.